Welcome to Cups and Courage, the podcast. Today's guest is Priyanka. Priyanka was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. She's had single mastectomy with immediate reconstruction, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and she's had revisions to her reconstructed side. Cups and Courage, the podcast. Thank you, Priyanka, for joining us this afternoon. Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
As a tradition on our podcast, we ask our guests to bring in their favourite biscuits. And I know that yours are sitting here in the Cups and Courage biscuit barrel. So
They are.
These are lovely. I don't actually know the name of these ones.
They're the Viennese chocolate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are very decadent.
They are. It's a treat biscuit.
Yeah,
it's
thank
not
you.
Something.
They're the ones that you hide from the kids.
Yeah, we do.
These are Mummy's biscuits. Brilliant. Thank you. And as a second tradition, we ask our guests what their definition of courage is. So I'm interested. We start with an easy question, obviously. It's a real easy one to get into. But what's your definition of courage?
So for courage for me would be showing up when times are tough and making a stand for what you believe in, even if you don't have anyone to back you up, but it's fighting for what you believe is right.
I know a bit about your story, and actually that rings true for what I know of you. Actually, it is really that advocating and standing up for yourself, even without those support pieces around, or even if, you know, you're being told other things. It's really standing up.
I mean, I've been lucky that I do have lots of people.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by people who love me and support me.
Sure.
And have been my cheerleaders.
Thank you. We get so many different variations of that word, what that word means for different people. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so last 3 years for you, there's been a lot of change.
Lots.
So you were diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer.
I was.
And you've had your chemotherapy, you had a mastectomy, single mastectomy, an immediate reconstruction. You had radiation, you've had oral chemotherapy, you've had another reconstruction because didn't go to plan.
It didn't. And still pending another reconstructive surgery because the second one also didn't go to plan. But that's another discussion.
Yeah, I get that. And that's a lot of stuff in the last 3 years. You're also a mum.
I am a mum.
To two
girls.
Yeah. How old are the girls?
They are 5 and 7.
Oh, okay. So we're talking they were little.
They were really little.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. I also have two kids. Mine were a little bit older. They're a lot older now. So,
but it's not easy with kids, is it? It's just that's another factor to consider, and they're a very important factor to consider.
Yeah,
in all of
and they influence those decisions.
They do,
because I can imagine with that amount of treatment, that amount of kind of magnitude of experience have also come with lots of choices that you've had to make, lots of decisions you've had to make along the way. Mm-hmm. Let's start there. So tell me a bit about those initial healthcare conversations and what was laid out to you as options, I suppose.
Well, I'll start off by saying the first words were from my consultant, "You have cancer. Were you not expecting this?"
Were you not expecting this?
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought, what do I say to this man? I understand that he has lots of patients during the day and he has to speak to them about their cancer diagnosis. But for that person, it's new. No, they're not expecting this. So have some empathy and think about how you're speaking to somebody. And I froze. I had my husband next to me, but he broke his arm the week before, got the diagnosis. and I had a Macmillan nurse sitting at the other end of the room. And as soon as she heard those words, she came rushing over. And I think she helped me keep it together. And I sat there listening to this consultant, but it felt like nothing was going in because all I could think about is, well, you're not expecting this.
Well, what do you think he meant when he said that? Well, you're not expecting it. You know.
For him, it might be something that is a regular thing.
Yeah. It just seems a strange thing to say.
It is a very strange thing to
Yeah.
say. But as they say, some doctors don't have any bedside
Right.
manners. And I think that comes into play.
Right. So there was almost an assumption that you knew what the conversation was going to be, and
And that I
obviously,
should have expected this,
Right, okay.
which, I mean, everyone tells you to stay positive, and it's hard to do so. But you do. You cling on to that little bit of hope that it may be benign. There's nothing more to it. And that's what I went in with, thinking it'll be benign. They'll have to do small surgery and it'll be done. Not expecting months of treatment.
Yeah, I hear that.
And then we were taken into another room with the breast care nurses who went through the diagnosis. But as a mum, the first thing that came to mind was, how do I tell my children? And even at the ages of 2 and 4, that's all I could think about. Because I knew this was a big change.
Yeah.
And it was going to hit us really hard. And we tackled it. We spoke to the girls as soon as we could. And the little one was too young to understand anything. But with the eldest, just like adults take time to process, she took a good few hours to process the information that we'd given her. And all the questions started coming out. And the hardest question was, or statement was, Mummy, I don't want you to lose your hair.
Okay.
And that was something I couldn't promise her because I didn't know what was going to happen.
So at this stage, obviously, you've left the hospital with an overwhelming amount of information. I'm hoping. I don't want to hope that it's overwhelming, but did you have enough information to go away with to be able to have those kind of conversations?
I had enough information.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. But they were my priority as well.
Absolutely.
So I took away what I needed to. And again, had that time to process with my family as well. But from the get-go, we got the girls involved. Because they do pick up on change. Even if you don't say anything, they can pick up on that atmosphere. And that afternoon, we were driving back home and I called my brothers. I have one older brother and one younger brother. And I asked them to come home as soon as possible. So with my eldest, as soon as his kids finished school, picked them up and came over. My younger brother told his work he needs to leave. And they came and we were together and we were crying. And I didn't think that Kay, my eldest, picked up on what was going on. She was so excited to see her cousins
family.
that she was just so happy in that moment. And as time went on, she asked me, why were you crying that day? So we really underestimate children.
Absolutely.
And we need to give them more credit.
What I'm hearing is family is integral to you.
It is.
Right? Your own children, but also, your wider family, your siblings. And I want you to take me back to some of those. Let's go back into the hospital environment when they've said, you've got cancer, this is potentially before you've had these conversations with everyone. How soon did you know what was coming? How much of this did you know? Did you know that, right, I've got to have a mastectomy and this is what I've got to do? And this is, what, take me through that.
It was more about that it's triple negative.
Yeah.
These are the options for the treatment plan, but the oncologist and the consultants need to sit down again to work out the actual treatment plan. So then I had another appointment within a week or 2 weeks. And again, I had the same consultant. And I went back with questions because it's a new situation. You don't know what to expect. And I think it's justified to go in with questions. But he made us feel, he really belittled us. And we were made to feel that we couldn't ask questions because they were stupid or dumb questions.
Okay.
So after, I think, the first questions, it was just, okay, I don't want to ask any more questions because I just didn't like the way we were spoken to. And then again, it was the breast care nurses who tried to explain as much as they could. But when I went home, I felt I didn't have all the answers to my questions, and I really didn't know what was going on, especially after we were told that the cancer had spread and that I needed a double mastectomy. So it was very overwhelming that from our first consultation to the second, like how could so much have happened in a short period of time. And coming back to family, we were all together, and they were asking me questions and I couldn't answer them.
Yeah.
And they encouraged me that to speak up, that if I wasn't happy with the care, that I needed to take action. And we got the ball rolling that I spoke to the consultant secretary, and she passed this on to senior leaders. And within a few days, I got a call from the main consultant, and she told me that she's going to clear her morning and she wanted me to come in and to have a talk. And it was just so warming to walk into the office and be greeted by our names. And we felt at ease. And she asked me what I knew of the diagnosis so far. And I told her everything that I was told. And you could just see her eyes rolling because I was given the wrong information.
Oh, wow.
So we started from scratch. She told me what it was. She drew diagrams to help us understand it, and then went through the treatment process. And just having that half an hour, 45 minutes with her just reassured us. And her telling me that she was going to be taking over and that she was going to be doing my surgery, it really lifted a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah. Well, it's your life. Your life is in someone's hands. And if your life is in someone's hands that actually you haven't got good rapport with and you don't feel they're listening or can hear you and see you and answer any questions, or you know, and that person makes you feel daft for asking questions, that's not a great space to be in when you're already really vulnerable.
It's so true. And I think not a lot of people would have the courage to speak up.
We talk sometimes about getting second opinions because we don't always know that we can do that. You know, that's our right to have a second opinion. But actually, it sounds like if you hadn't have made that call and really advocated for yourself, you know, with the support of your family to validate all those concerns were real, you know, who knows? You may have been still with somebody else, but it was that part of you that went, I'm going to do the difficult thing. I'm going to call centrally and have a conversation with someone so we can lay this all out and I can say what I need. And I'm pleased it worked out that way for you. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that to get to that place. I have a similar situation, and that those experiences don't disappear, even though the outcomes afterwards are really positive. They can leave a mark, they can leave a bit of a scar.
It does. And I think those words will sort of they'll haunt me
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. It's something that I just can't get out of my
I
head.
hear that. Tell me, so you had a double mastectomy?
No, it was a single,
You had a
not
single
a double,
right,
like
you had
I
a
was
single
told.
mastectomy. And did you made your choice around surgical pieces here? Were you know, because you obviously had the choice for, did you have a choice for DIEP or
I did.
implant? Or,
So all the choices were laid out,
Mm-hmm.
and based on my age, lifestyle and everything, I was able to have that discussion with my consultant and my surgeon about what would be best, not just for now, but in the future. And then that helped me to make an informed decision.
yeah, great. Did you know that you were always going to reconstruct? Was it ever a conversation that might not?
Not at that stage.
Yeah.
It was something that I wanted to get done.
Yeah, I hear. So I had a double mastectomy, but I didn't reconstruct, and so I love finding out the differences in those conversations at those critical points, you know, and where we're at in our head, because I wasn't always. I'm going to stay flat. That evolves. That evolves after each bit of information. But I just wonder how foundational that was. You know, that you're always going to reconstruct. You know, it was always just going to be a thing.
And I thought, if the option's here now,
Yeah.
let's just go for it.
Okay. And so, did you end up with an implant? Or
No.
DIEP?
DIEP. But when it came to the surgery and they took tissues from my abdominal, there just wasn't enough tissue.
Okay.
So I ended up becoming a lot flatter on my left breast and on my right. So
Okay.
it didn't match.
Yeah.
And which led to having a prosthetic.
As well.
So I had to have that in for the interim.
Yes.
But that was also very difficult to come to terms with. It changes you as a person, and it's not always comfortable with what you want to wear. And I remember one of the support groups that I'm a part of, and I asked a question about if I wanted to wear a halter neck, what can I do? And this lady's like, you just need to throw away everything from your wardrobe.
Oh.
That wasn't very supportive.
I was going to say, it's not massively helpful.
And that was, I did feel quite low.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to just have high neck t-shirts or polo tops and turtlenecks. I want to be my old self as well. But I couldn't. I just felt, and I just didn't feel comfortable till recently.
Okay.
After my second reconstruction surgery, which still didn't go to plan because they were going to take tissue from my right breast and put it into the left side. But again, there was a lot of dead tissues which couldn't be used. So they've reduced my right breast, but it's still not symmetrical.
Right, not symmetrical.
So hence being offered a third surgery.
Goodness.
Which we've had many discussions as a family, and my youngest daughter, who's now 5, now that she's able to articulate herself a bit more, she's against it.
Okay. What's her voice around that?
She does want me to go to hospital and be in hospital and be away from her for a number of days. Same again with my husband. My first surgery, when I had my mastectomy and then the reconstructive, I was told surgery will be 7 hours, 8 hours tops. I came out after 10.5 hours. And for him not knowing, he's like, I didn't know what was going on, and it was the hardest thing ever to do. And for you to go and do it the third time, he's like, I just don't want you to go.
So where are you now in your head? So obviously you've got You've got family who are saying, just no more. It's enough, right? But there's part of you that still wants that revision for symmetry and,
Self-confidence as well.
okay.
But my eldest, she's like, yes, mummy, go, do it.
Okay.
And I was surprised on her take. And she's now trying to convince the younger one that it will be okay.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to have an appointment with my surgeon just to go over any questions or concerns. But I've now pushed it back a bit just so that we have some more time to talk about feelings and what will happen. And I think that will give my husband some more time to think of any questions or concerns that he has, and that we can go through it with the surgeon so it can clear there.
This is so open. It's so refreshing to hear just the level of transparency and actually group decision making almost. I know it's your body, but there are really strong influencing factors based on how important family is for you. And I love how open and transparent this is. And you said at the beginning around the kids, even when they were younger, not trying to shy away from those conversations. You are a lady of Indian heritage.
I am.
I know we can't speak on behalf of, a whole community, society, but is this indicative of, like culturally, this level of openness, or is this an anomaly?
From when I grew up, we didn't really have this openness, or I could see in the community certain subjects weren't spoken about openly, or children weren't spoken to about it, that you don't need to know, you're too young, it's not for you. And I wanted to break that boundary.
Okay.
Because at some point you're going to find out. And where do you go to get that information? If you can't go to your parents, you can't go to your family, who else do you turn to? And I didn't want my children finding out information through anybody else, or hearing snippets of information and them concluding to something completely different. And I feel that's more harmful for them.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have that honesty and those open conversations. And we say to them that if you have a question, come to us. And if we can't answer them, we'll find somebody who can.
Yeah.
And they did come out with questions that I couldn't answer. And I'll take them to the breast care nurses or my oncologist, and we'll try and find those answers for them so that they're reassured.
Yeah.
Because it's a worrying time for everybody. So why should they be kept aside?
But isn't it interesting the different ways that we process and manage these things? Because I've got friends who've been through breast cancer as well, and the way that I manage it and how I speak to my kids about it and how I speak about it, and is very different. So you've got all these personality differences as well in terms of how open we are in what we say and what we do. And I think a big driver for me is if cancer's tough. Cancer's hard, and there's no rhyme or reason, and I can't go, everything happens for a reason. I can't with cancer, right? And I won't profess to do that for anybody. But what I will try and do is navigate through it, trying to make some positive impact, so it doesn't feel like I don't know, an empty experience. There's so much I can pass on to my kids, right? So much I can teach, just as you're doing, right? How can I use difficulty? How can I use adversity to show them and teach them a different way of, being? And I think we've all got different drivers for those change of behaviours. I'm very open as a human, and hopefully my kids will also be open. I'm really keen on this note to touch upon, because I can see it out of my eye line. And one of the reasons why we first connected was we've both written children's books out of our own experiences to help. I'll speak on myself, and then, but to help our kids navigate what was going on for them. And I think yours was possibly the same.
It was. When it came to the diagnosis and trying to find support for children, I found that very difficult because there was zero to none.
Okay.
So much for adults, for the cancer patient, for the partner. Why were children left out? They're an integral part of the family and they need that support too. So why exclude them? And probably because I'm a teacher, I don't know why, but I always turn to books to help start a conversation and to support that curiosity. And when I was researching, there wasn't a lot out there, or it was very American. And I had people tell me, why don't you start writing? So I thought, okay, let me do that. And each stage of the treatment process, I started writing about what was happening. What I found missing were those questions, because that's what we struggled as a family. Even though I was asking my daughter these questions, she wasn't giving us an answer, and I could see a change in her behavior. And I thought, well, surely I'm not the only person here. And it is very difficult to start those conversations. And I think as a parent, finding the right question is also difficult. So that's what I incorporated into the book, is finding out how the child is feeling. And then when I finished my treatment, I think I just ended the book there.
Okay.
Because I don't think it was going to go anywhere until I was on social media and somebody had asked for a publisher. And I thought, why not? What's the worst that can happen? So I sent my work to this publisher, and they had time to consider because they don't usually do picture books. And they came back and realised that there is a gap in the market and this is quite niche. So they took it on and they assigned me to Alan Durant, another children's author, who edited my work. So between myself, Alan, and authoring me, my publishers, we worked together and had a few edits. And Alan said to me, how does this end? Because it was sort of treatment finish and that was it.
I mean, that's so reflective of the journey, right? Off you go.
You're done.
I've not finished the story.
But then I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is how do you wrap that up? And Alan said one piece of advice that he gave me was, don't rush into it. Just take your time and it will come to you. And something that we do as a family, we just dance in the kitchen. I don't know why. It's just...
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
But kitchen is the heart of the home, right? And that's how I ended it.
Dancing in the kitchen.
Dancing in the kitchen.
I love that. That's a mic drop moment. Nothing else. Okay? Because we can't make sense of anything else, but we can dance. Well, yeah, I love that.
And that's how the book sort of concludes.
Yeah.
But it's giving children a voice. And we talk about advocating their rights, having a voice, but are we actually?
What I hear is this is a lady in front of me who family is so important to, I wonder how much you were at the forefront of any of those decisions that you had to make along the way, or whether or not you always had the kids there, right? So the kids were up front and center, husband was up front and center, family was up front and center. And Priyanka was, if everybody is okay, then I'm all right. It was that.
I think as a mum you do, don't you? You tend to put your children, your family first. And there's a question that my daughter asked me, because now she's come to know what cancer can do to a person. It's not you can go on living. She's come to know that people die from cancer. And it's a very poignant moment when she said to me, "Mummy, you had cancer and you're still here. Is it because of us?"
Okay. How'd you answer that one?
And I just thought, for a 7-year-old,
Yeah.
so profound.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, it's because of you that I'm still here. Because you're fighting for them, fighting to be there, to see them grow.
Yeah, yeah.
And last week, there was someone from our support group who'd put a picture of her being there with her son during his graduation. And last week, my youngest, she finished reception and they had a little graduation ceremony for early years. And I know it's a very small step, but it's a very big step also.
I hear you.
For me being there to see her graduate at early years. And it was just such a lovely moment.
I think when you step through the cancer gateway, and you can't go back through it, and I talk about that sometimes, as much as we might like to have that, it's not even blissful ignorance, but it is the life before we knew, right? Things become so much more, those small moments are massive.
They are.
All of those small moments are,
it's something that you take for granted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you realise the importance of life.
Yeah, and regardless if you have kids or not, actually, I mean, we're both talking as mums, but there's lots of people that this the same gate, things you can't go backwards, and the things that they value and the things that they appreciate, become all the more richer, or you figure out what is important and what actually is not as important as you thought it was. Those things fall by the wayside.
Absolutely. I mean, you realise those toxic things and just letting go of those because it's not important.
Yeah.
Just focus on what matters to you.
Can I ask you, around these choices, did you ever have to, or I suppose, can you think of a time when you were going through everything and you had to make a decision that you were doing on behalf of everybody else, but actually it wasn't necessarily what you would have chosen if you weren't thinking about everybody else first?
I think the second surgery was about me.
Yeah, okay. That revision.
That was...
Do they call it revision? I'm calling it revision. Sorry, that might not be how it's referred to.
I think they still call it
another reconstruction surgery. Yeah, understand.
And that was something that I had to do. And I remember my grandma asking me, "Do you really have to do this?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yes, I do have to do this.
Yeah.
Because this is for me."
Yeah. Okay, and so how you're feeling now then? Talking about kind of a sense of identity, sense of self. What's changed if you kind of jump us forward from Priyanka 3 years ago to Priyanka now, and going through all the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs that cancer has brought and motherhood has brought, and where are you now?
I think in the last year and a half has been the biggest change, because when I started my writing and then going to the publisher, and that was January last year that I approached them, and in October we published the book. And in that year there were so many milestones. I mean, for International Day 2024, I did my first ever catwalk, and it was courageous women who had fought cancer. And I thought, it's not something that I've never done,
Okay.
but why not?
Yeah.
And I went for it. And after that, we had the book launch, which was held in South Kensington for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So it's been a lot of positivity, something that was so distressing for us as a family. I've turned it around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've just enjoyed the past year having these milestones. And this year for International Women's Day, my girls asked me, what are you doing this year? And I thought, do I have to do something every year now?
You do. You've set very high bar.
And funnily enough, a couple of days later, I got an invite from 10 Downing Street. And Kay was just so excited. She's like, are you going to go and see Rishi Sunak? She's not realised that things have changed. But for her, seeing a person of colour like her, she could resonate with. And I think that was a very proud moment for her. I said, it won't be Rishi, but I'm going to see Keir Starmer. And I think for the whole family.
You've done so much, not just for your own family, but your wider community and the breast cancer community. There are layers and layers and layers of impact that you have had by being courageous.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to advocating for children. And they need a voice. Mm-hmm. And I hope I can be that voice for them and giving the family that platform to also have those conversations like I did with my family.
I'm going to ask a question over here, really, back at the around the healthcare piece again. Did you ever have real clear decision or a choice, that something that you wanted and you had to really fight for it throughout that journey? So we're talking from diagnosis, apart from your initial voice around making sure that you were with the right consultant who was going to carry you through. You've had surgery, you've had chemo, you've had radiation, you've had other chemotherapy, you've had other surgeries. Was there any part of that where you kind of went, no, I don't want to do that, or yes? Was there ever a point where there was conflicting?
There wasn't any conflicting, but there's always a why. Like, why do I have to have this? Because you don't always know the reason behind it. And having that explanation helps to make that informed decision that, okay, yes, this is in the best interest. But it's having that confidence to ask those questions.
It's hard, isn't it, for people? Because I think I say it's hard for people, but we're all different in states of stress and how we deal with fight and flight and how we behave, when we're in the spotlight. And if our brain goes completely, nope, not with us. Or actually, if all the questions come rushing out and whether or not we take in all the information or take in part of the information. So what if you had some advice to give to someone around having that confidence? Like how can we make that tangible for someone? What does that look like?
I mean, most people they shy away from getting help. And I think at a moment like this is where you need help. So don't shy away from it. Lean on the people around you because they will give you that confidence and they will give you the support that you need to push yourself to do what's best for you.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here. I agree, by the way. What happens if there is somebody who doesn't have that level of familial support, who actually just, from a family dynamic, they just want business as usual. They want to get in the weeds. They definitely don't want to have open conversations. But let's say you've got an individual who needs that, who needs to lean in, who needs to lean on the, community, family, friend, whatever it is, but they don't have it in their immediate support. What would you say to someone in that space?
I think within the hospitals, Macmillan, for example, they're a great resource and they're open to giving that support. So even if it's not within your inner circle, there are people out there It's just knowing where to look.
Okay.
I think lots of people take to going onto the internet. And there is a way of finding the support you need. It's just that little bit more research.
That's where the courage comes in, actually. You know, if you can't access that very quickly in your nearest and dearest, it's having the courage to,
take that step forward.
Take that step into the unknown, probably for a lot of people, to connect and get that support, and therefore the confidence and the courage that comes from sharing difficulties and sharing experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, within Buckinghamshire, that there is a hub, and there's amazing people there, and they're willing to help. So take it.
Yeah. When is your next reconstructive surgery planned? I know you said you're going to take a little break and just with the family.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Still pending.
Okay.
I think for my husband's sake, it's just having another consultation with the surgeon, just so that hopefully he can overcome his fears.
And those fears are around you.
They are around me.
Yeah.
And it's understandable.
Of course.
And I think from when I first had my reconstruction, I'm in a better place. I think having so many positive experiences has given me the lift and brought a lot of confidence.
And it's not your first rodeo.
No.
So I think that, with experience comes, okay, I've been here before. I know, I trust. I have these key anchors in this experience that sometimes the unknown it can be not the easiest thing to navigate.
No, it's just having the patience now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Taking each day as it comes.
So you follow Hinduism.
I do.
And so there is a piece, you were talking about karma. So is that something that is tangible within Hindu religion? Do people believe this, or is it dependent on the person?
I think it depends on the person, and there's a big belief that if you've done something bad, then karma will get you at some point. But I feel if you believe in God, why would God want to do something to hurt you?
Yeah, right. There's quite a contrast.
There is, and I think it's how people perceive it. It's their conception. And again, my daughter asked me a question. It was about the Air India flight when so many people died. And she asked me, why did God do this? And I was blown away by that question. And I thought, how do I answer that? And I came back to her the following day and I said to her, who built that plane? Was it God? No. Why are we not blaming them? It's easier to blame someone that you can't see, who's not tangible. So you just pass on the blame.
But some things can't be blamed, right? There's when we talk about cancer, but it is that separation, isn't it? And it depends on how closely we correlate anything that happens in our religious faith, And
I think it's easier to do that, to look at your faith, look at religion. Why are you not looking at yourself? Could be talking about your eating habits, your lifestyle. Is that to blame? And sometimes it's not. I lead a healthy lifestyle, exercising, diet, and I don't have a family history. So there is that question that why me? And my mentor, so I've now gone into coaching children, and my mentor said to me, why not? Cancer didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Because from that experience, I've written a book. I'm helping children. And it's how you how you view it.
Yeah, I hear that. That's one of the things I talk about with courage, because you can't change what happens to you, but it's courageous with how you choose to,
to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And coming back to the community, I think we need to come away from the taboo. It's not that person's fault, so why are you blaming them? It's already a stressful time. Just be there to support them.
So does that happen? So do you hear that there is a real blame within community?
It's a blame, and you shouldn't talk about it because it's shameful. So I've heard lots of stories about women from the South Asian community not talking about it because you're bringing shame to the family.
Okay.
And again, I wanted to come away from that. And it's just encouraging women and reassuring them that it's not their fault, and to move away from that and seek the support that they need at a time like this and get the help that they need.
Yeah, because I can imagine on top of everything, put a layer of blame and shame on top of that is...
And not talking about it. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
You need to talk to somebody. And I think that's how you get past it. It helps you. You'll never overcome it, but there's that element of helping you.
Well, we know the part connection plays, right? In anybody's journey, healing, processing, the ability to connect with others, which means you have to be open.
Yeah, and it's sharing that experience because you're helping others along the way just from sharing your experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters what colour you are, what race you are. We're all human and we're all going through something, and that's all that should matter.
Yeah. Fine.
People of colour, they don't usually check themselves, or they don't know who to turn to. So it's finding a way to see that they can just go to their GP and talk to somebody.
So you're really passionate about being visible to increase the representation so people can...
Yes, I feel people of colour feel underrepresented.
Okay.
And I don't see what I don't understand why. I don't know if it's because I've been brought up here to not look at the race. And I know it's really difficult because it's hard when you don't see somebody who looks like you, who you can relate to. And I think it comes down to changing the mindset.
And awareness and education.
Yes.
So is the lack of perceived representation, that must play a part in research and the detectors for different groups of people as well. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
And I think it also comes down to your age.
Okay.
So when I first found the lump, I was 36 and I went to the GP and she said, you're under that age limit. You've had a baby 2 years on. And she didn't think anything of it. But to be on the safe side, she referred me. But it was having that courage to go to the doctor because you found something abnormal within your body. But since then, I've had friends come to me to ask me, I felt a lump, what should I do? First thing, you need to go and speak to your GP. But it's finding that voice and it's finding that courage to take that first step. And sometimes you just need a push from someone that you can relate to.
Yeah. Yes.
And I know within the Bucks Health Trust, and I think they know it too, that there isn't representation from other ethnicities, which makes it harder. And it's about making those changes. Yeah. And I think that will come in time. And they are trying to make those changes.
And I think that's key, identifying that it's not, there's not enough representation of the diversity of our communities, and therefore doing something about it. I think you're doing great work.
I just hope that this will help other women.
If you had some advice, I know you said around leaning in, but if you had had to give some advice to someone who was going through something right at the very beginning, of their journey with cancer, what would that be?
There's lots of fear around it, but it's having hope. So never lose hope.
Priyanka, thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, Sam.
Priyanka, thank you for your time. This has been a phenomenal conversation, and I know that the impact is going to be huge. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cups and Courage shares honest, personal stories of people affected by breast cancer. The views you hear are those of the guests and host and don't replace medical advice. If you're concerned about your health, please speak to a doctor or healthcare team. Cups and Courage, the podcast.